the topic is SDLC, which means System Development Life Cycle. This is nothing but just a framework to follow when creating some project or developing some application. This SDLC is considered. This is mainly a framework which is again set of rules or processes when creating something. We need to be artistic, and also we should follow some process, because when we are not following any process but we have an artistic mind and we are creating with an art, that is not enough, because that will lead you to different directions. You will not get the same result always if you have an art, but when you are following some process, then you will get the same result for multiple times. This is the difference between process and art, because process always gives you the same result or better result, but it assures you, it gives you that much assurance that you will get the result. And when you have the art, is that you know how to do it, but you don't know a proper framework or process how to do that. So this is the main difference between process and art. That's why I'm saying process rather than an art. So SDLC is considered to satisfy this statement. It offers a set of rules and processes, and now if you have an art, if you are artistic, then you will get even better result. So what are the elements of SDLC? We need to see that. So the basic structure of SDLC is the basic structure of SDLC. First is the these 6 elements are the basic elements of SDLC. First we have requirement gathering, next analysis, then design, then coding, testing, and finally the deployment or the delivery phase. Requirement gathering is nothing but the stage when we are actually gathering the requirements, the client's requirements. what is in his mind, what he wants to build. First, he shares the thought with us. That's the requirement gathering. We are getting the actual thing what we are going to build. Next one is analysis. In this stage, we are dealing with few considerations like feasibility study and all those analyses that are required to verify if that discussed project is possible to build or not. The third one is design. When this stage is analyzed, when this stage is performed, and we have the basic details, we are satisfied, then we move on to the next step, that is design phase. In this phase, we are actually designing the prototype based on this analysis, which is again based on the requirement gathering stage. And when we have a design in this case, we have actually virtual prototype, which is nothing. It is actually a collection of flowcharts, algorithms, data flow diagrams, and all those graphical parts. That's none of your work, but that's only the graphical thing. Next is coding. This is the most crucial and the most important phase is coding, because in this stage we are actually working on the prototype. After coding, when we have the actual product running, then we move on to the testing phase, because this department, they are responsible for telling us if our coding is working as per the prototype. After testing phase, we move on to the deploy and delivery stage, which is deployment. When we have a working prototype, the first working model is known as prototype. We need to deploy that, and if everything is according to the plan and working fine, then we can say that the product is delivered. So this is the basic structure of SDLC, but we need to see in more detail, in more depth. The first stage, as I said, first is requirement gathering. The client comes with some requirement or project in his mind. Which is also known as business requirement. Okay. So at the first phase, there will be a department where one or more business analysts will work on together. So this is the first stage where the client requirement or business requirement comes in. This is the first stage. So this department consists of one or more business analysts. Their work is to perform some basic test. We can say TELOS. We have a basic formula known as TELOS, uh, which is further known as feasibility test. So they will perform some feasibility test on the client's requirement, and this is for the sake of the company. The TELOS T stands for technical feasibility. Similar goes for E, economical feasibility, L for legal feasibility, O for operational feasibility, and S for scheduling feasibility. So these are basically the steps that this business analyst department they should perform to move on to the next steps. This is much important stage. So what is technical feasibility? Technical feasibility means whatever the project is that is coming inside, if we are able to build that project, if we have that much of software or hardware resources, or we can say we have that much support to build the project. This goes for technical feasibility. E for economical feasibility, it basically means the budget. If we have that much budget to start working on this project, if we have that much investment, if we are able to invest, that goes for E. L for legal feasibility. Some projects that are not legal, which goes against the cyber law, cyber act, IT act, and even the company's laws. So they will consider this also. Then coming to the O, O is operational feasibility test, which means operation. It is related to operation, in the sense when we have a project in our hand, and we need to check that if that project is, if we have that much of skilled people or dedicated people to uh, perform that project, to work on that project. If let's say the project that requires PHP development, but we don't have skilled people on PHP, we have people that work on Java or Java specialists. So we will not be able to. We are incapable of working on that project. This is operational. To some extent, it is also technical feasibility also. Okay, and the final stage is S. S means scheduling feasibility test, which is sometimes we don't. The client doesn't have any time frame to finish that project, but um, initially we can assume that this would take 1 year or 1.2 year or 6 months or 7 months, whatever the time is. Sometimes we just work on assumptions, and sometimes the client gives us some time frame. So in this case, if the client has some time frame fixed earlier, we need to check if we are able to complete the project within that time frame. Or when that client doesn't have any idea about the time frame, then we need to see if we are able to give that much time to this project to develop. If we have that not that much resources to work on a project for 1 year or longer, then we are not. It might be a case that we are not able to work on that project or any project which takes more than 7, 8 or 9 months. So this is also important to consider. So when all these steps are satisfied, or these check cases, we can say check cases. When all these check cases are satisfied, then we will move. Not actually move. We will. The business analyst team will create a document. They will compile a document which is known as BDD, or business design document. So whatever they have realized in the performing telos, and whatever they have prior knowledge after talking to the client, they will all mention those things and compile a document which is known as BDD, or business design document. But the thing is that this document is long. It is not only about length, but also this document will have too many jargons. What are jargons? Jargons are those words which are specific to a profession. Let's say we have a few words that only goes for the commercial, any profession that is related to economics or profession. So that is, those are jargons. And sometimes we have some legal words which ordinary people or people related to other fields they don't understand. That is legal jargons. Similarly, we have many jargons involved depending on the project. It actually depends. So this is not understandable. Those jargons, those specific words that goes for a to some specific profession, those are not understandable. Those are not clear to some other people who are from other professions. So there should be some translation for the so rest of the people who are working on this project they understand. That's why some other department or another department is required to compile this document further to some understandable version in a friendly way. So the second team, the second department will be known as system analyst. This is again maybe one or a group of one or more people. You also call them SA. So they will first one more thing I have missed, that is artifact. What is artifact? Artifact is the input and deliverable is the output. So as the business analyst team, they have compiled the document BDD. This is the deliverable of this group. Deliverable means the output. Whatever they have taken as input was the client requirement. They have worked on that and compiled a document that is the deliverable of business analyst team. So the deliverable is BDD and the artifact is input. The next department who is working on this project is system analyst team. So they are taking the BDD as input. So we can say the artifact of this group will be BDD, and the deliverable means again this team will work on this BDD. They will read, but the difference is that this group of one or more people they understand how the BDD, how to read those words, and they properly understand those words. So they will again compile that BDD to SRS. SRS is again system requirement specs or specifications. So this is the deliverable of system analyst code. System requirement specs. Okay, the next group is which comes under design. This is again divided into two phases, two group of two subgroups. One is the people, project manager level people. The next one is module leads. So let's say the project, this is the project, but it is itself a big project. So let's say it has 9 parts and each part is called module. So the project manager, it's his responsibility to supervise all the modules, the works, the operations that are undergoing on those modules. It's his responsibility to caretake that. Now the question arises, who created this project structure? Who divided this project into 9 modules? This is actually done by, basically generally for most of the time you will see this this type of structure or the main project design is done by the architect. It's his duty to construct the project structure. But sometimes we don't have an architect. In those cases, it's the project manager who read all those requirements, all those BDDs, and creates that SRS. At the time of creating that SRS, he will definitely mention this called project structure and modules also. They will actually engineer the project. Okay, now who are the module leads? Module leads are, as I said earlier, that each of these parts are known as modules. So it would be the responsibility of module lead. Each module lead will supervise each module. It's his duty to supervise. Supervise what? Supervising the development process, the bugs that are arises during development, or any kind of issues. So it's his duty. The module lead will supervise the actual progress on that module. Okay. So after the module leads, there is coding department, or it's better to say the development team, which is again divided into few groups, few subgroups. This is chief developer. Till now, all these are not codes actually. These are all in the form of algorithms, flowcharts, DFDs, and all possible graphical representations. So these are also none of your work. These will not compile to the real project view. So these are all graphical contents or the blueprint part, not a working model. So the next group is the development team. There we have each subgroups. They have more or many people are involved in the development work. The first one is the chief developer. He actually undertakes the rest of the groups. His responsibility is to supervise the rest of the two other subgroups if if the work is working as expected, if everything is going fine. It's their responsibility to check. Next is senior developer. Again, the chief developer, he reads that thing. And what is the artifact here? The artifact, the deliverable is the deliverable of this group, the project manager and module lead. This would be PDD or PDD. Again, PDD means project design document or technical design document. This is the deliverable of this department, and which is again being an artifact to this department. They also, the chief developer, his responsibility is to read this thing and to share what he have understood to the rest of the subgroups. As the after reading that, they will eventually start working on the project, and finally when they have a, and the deliverable of this department is the actual bill. Actual bill means now we have a actual working model. The first working model, that is also known as the prototype. Now we have a working prototype that is actually being run. That is running as we expected. Again, that is not necessary, but now we have something that is actually running. This is called the actual build. This can be if we are developing for desktop. Um, if this is already a compiled program, then this will be exe extension or exe file. This could be jar if we have the bytecode. Yes, yeah, Java archive. For web applications, we have WAR, web archive. Depending on the case, this thing can be anything. But the first working model is, we get the first working model that is actually running. So after completing all these things, so this is the deliverable of this group. But again this should be an artifact to some other group. Let's see who is that. So the actual build, the first working model is being the artifact to the testing team. So what they do, they actually take this as input. They will first conduct a smoke test. What is smoke test? Smoke test, as the name suggests, they will just run the project and they will check if the project is running. At the initial stage, before starting the actual testing, they will first see whatever they have provided, being provided. They will first run that project, and we will see if that there is something on the screen, if that project is running. If that is running, then the smoke test is passed. Smoke means it's all smoking, means it's working at initial stage. So we call this smoke test. First they will perform smoke test. If the smoke test fails, means they are running the exe file, what this group has provided, but the exe file is not running. There is some error. Then we say, in these cases, we say that smoke test has been failed. Your application is not running. Please work further to correct the error, to rectify the errors. Okay, so this is a case. But what if the smoke test is passed? If the smoke test is passed, then the testing team again conducts 6 other steps. Those are, they will first plan testing. There is and these are the testing team in itself. It comes under STLs. STLs mean system testing life cycle. So STLC is the sub part of, or subdivision of, or one of the parts of STLC. So the SPLC contains these steps, these stages, and these are: first is plan testing, or testing the, or planning the test strategy. Second is design, again that design test, that they have now a plan for the testing, and that plan is not enough, they also need to design how the testing will be performed. Third one is execute test, means working on the design or executing the design. Four is mm, result analysis. Fifth is result analysis, means after executing the test strategy, what they are getting as result, they will consider the result, analysis the result, and on the fifth stage of the STLC life cycle, this will be bug tracking. Bug tracking means if the application is working correctly, there should not be any bug. But if there is any error during the execution, if there is any error, one or more errors, then they will be definitely visible in the result analysis stage, which is similarly like a mark sheet. They can say what are the errors we are being encountered. So, and bug tracking means bug tracking. To do the bug tracking, we generally use the bug tracking applications. So there are specialized applications which are used to track bugs, or debugging applications. So after bug tracking, we also need to report to the respective module developer. So the final stage is bug reporting. What is bug reporting? If after bug tracking being successfully performed, we now have a list of bug 1 or bug 2 up to bug n. We need to list them out and report all those bugs to the respective module developer. Whoever have developed that module where we are getting that error, we also need to contact the respective module developer. That is why this stage is required, because the testing team themselves, they will not make any changes to the application. They will not rectify any of the errors. They will simply track the bug, and finally they will report the bug to the respective developers. Like say, as I have drawn earlier, let's say this project has 4 modules, and we are getting an error in the second module. So the testing team will report that bug which is encountered at the second module to the developer of the second module, whoever developed. So let's say David. The reporting team, the bug reporting will be done. They will communicate to David that your module has some errors. We have the result analysis, and we have also did some bug tracking, and finally your module is being very much buggy. and if there is no error, if all these stages means till the result analysis, there is no error. So if there is no error in the result analysis stage, we don't need to perform bug tracking. We don't need to. If there is no error, there is no bug tracking. Again, there is no bug reporting. If there is no bug, we don't need to report anything. So you can say this is the near to final stage, and when it is done, after testing, we need to perform more. We have two more stages, and they are alpha testing and beta testing. What is alpha and what is beta testing? Till now, everything, all of these steps, all of the development works, everything, these were conducted in company premise. So now we need to perform alpha testing, which is we are now sure that our application is working as per the prototype, as per the SRS. All the development teams and the project management, project leads, those people are only they're concerned to the SRS, which was software requirement space. They are only interested to that document. They will not check the earlier document at the first stage, which was BDD, business design document. They are not concerned about that document. What they need to do, the project manager, the design team, they will check the SRS, and the testing team also, they will also refer to that SRS while testing the project. When they were running the smoke test, after the smoke test, they were to plan for testing, design test, execution test, all these stages, there should be some connection between that SRS and these stages. There should be some connection, because all those standards, all those functionalities, and all those features, those are all mentioned on that document. So when they are testing, it means they are testing, but they also need to know they are testing for what. They need to know those features, those functionalities against which they are comparing the project. Let's say there are two features. One is feature A and feature B mentioned in the SRS. According to the SRS, there should be only these two features or functionalities. So it's the responsibility of testing team to run the project and look for these A and B features, if they are working as expected, as per the algorithm, as per the flow chart, as per the DAP, whatever I have mentioned on that SRS. So if everything is working fine, then, and these are also as I said, the SRS and these stages should have some connections. So they will eventually check for that. After verifying all those things, they will say QA passed. What is QA? QA means quality assurance. For any company, let it be any manufacturing company or for any product development company, and in this case for software development company, QA QA is a part of testing team, and this goes for quality assurance. This is not a department. It's a model. It means quality assurance. When they are performing the 6 stages, they are actually taking care of quality assurance. Quality assurance means they are assuring you the quality according to the best quality. According to the best quality means if the that build, the build which they have been given is working as per the SRS, as per the client's requirement. If that is working as per the client's requirement, then we can say QA is passed. But what if QA is not passed? Then QC comes in action. QC is again quality control, and quality control, this is a damage control thing. Quality control will check if QA is failed, means if there is bug, one or more bugs, then we need to perform QC, means quality needs to be controlled. The quality has not been assured as per the quality is being not good, that much good, because we have bugs, right? So we need to remove those bugs, one or more or two, whatever the bugs there are. So in order to remove those bugs, we need to control the quality of the project, which is the quality control, QC. QC means reporting, bug reporting. Simply put, QC means bug reporting. There is a bug, so we need to report. So this is working as the damage control. This thing and this thing is similar. These are similar. Okay, when the QA is passed, means the testing team has approved the build that this is working as per the SRS, which is again the client's requirement. We need to perform alpha and beta testing. Alpha and beta testing means one or more people will be called from the company to come and check for the application. Come and check means to come at office premise, and they will be asked to run your application that we have been working for a long time. So it's the responsibility of the client. Then they will come to your office and they will perform the alpha testing, means let me see, as I told you, if you have done like that, or it's not meeting to my expectations. The client need to check that. So you will perform, this stage is called, or this process is known as alpha testing. After passing alpha testing, if alpha testing is passed, it means the client has approved the product or the project. Now coming to the beta testing. Beta testing means the client is satisfied, initially satisfied, and he ask the company to deploy the project. If this is a web application, in case of web apps, the company will push the web app to the server, and for desktop apps, he will install to the client's system or where it was supposed to run, where for the platform it was meant to. So beta testing starts when the company hands over the project to the client system or the cloud or web apps. So after passing the alpha testing, we perform deployment or installation. If this is a web project, web app, then we will simply use some FTP, file transfer protocol client apps, and we will push that application or upload the application to the web server. Installation, this also goes for installation. And if this is a desktop application, or this could be some dedicated server, anything. This could be a embedded system, IoT board, whatever it is. We need to install it. And after deployment or installation, the actual service, the actual execution starts, and in the client side, in the client's premise. Then after deployment or installation, we basically give a short span for performing the beta testing. That is, let's say 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 months, maximum 5 to 6 months for very large projects. So during this period, up to that 6 months, we are not fully paid. The party will not release the full payment. At the according to the terms and condition, at the very first stage of development, he or she might release some advance payment. At the end of the project, when we are actually deploying or installing the application, he will release the rest of the amount, but not fully. After, for most of the cases, he will release the full amount after being fully sure, means being uh, after performing the beta testing. So after deployment or installation, this is done in the, for web apps, this will be uploaded to the cloud, and for installation this will be installed in the client office, in the client's premise. So after deployment installation, we give some short span of time. After that, after successfully completing that time, means if this is a 6 months span, the client will be running the application for the first 6 months. If there is no errors, if there is no further bugs or unexpected things happen, then he will release the full payment and the delivery cycle is closed. If there are one or more issues, that this could be that we will develop some bug or some unexpected things in the later time. In after, let's say after 3 months or 4 months, there could be some unexpected errors. So in those cases, the client will again come to the company and will report that bug. And that bug reporting arises within the beta testing, that falls under the beta testing, and this beta testing can only happen when the client is actually running the application either in the cloud or in the dedicated system. That's the main thing, is that the system must be running, that should be working. So for performing beta testing, there should be some user, because systems are meant for users, that some user will operating the system. So for web apps or some other systems, the user will be using the system without keeping in mind that he will develop some error. He doesn't know about any error. He is just using that system in order to carry some operation. He doesn't know, or he don't even expect any of the error, any bug will happen in any way. So most of the time the client will hire some other people to perform beta testing. They will simply, but when people are hired to perform beta testing, they're keeping in their mind that they're actually looking for errors. They're actually looking for bugs to and unexpected things to happen. They are getting paid for, and they are exploring that project only to find some bugs. Sometimes they don't, the client don't even care about beta testing, and they don't, or they care about beta testing but they don't hire anyone to perform beta testing. They will simply release their application as per the deployment, and will make available the project to the general public or to the uh, general public who were meant for the project to use. So let's say 500 people are using that application, and there could be cases that 5 or 6 people have found I- 5 or 6 people have found some error. In that case, they will report to the company, the client's company, that we have experienced some unexpected things in your website or in your application, and further the client will contact the software firm who have made the project for them. So this is beta testing, and after 6 months of successful completion, they will hand over or release the full payment. So this is the full testing phase and deployment also, and they are enjoying the product. And at the end of the delivery cycle, when after 6 months they will release the payment, they will uh, release any of the amount that is left unpaid. And after that, we say the delivery cycle finished or completed. Now, as per the terms and condition, the company could offer them some maintenance or update features. Let's say the company have told them that after every 8 to 9 months, we will, for first year or first 2 years, we will be providing you free updates. In some cases, they charge initially 20 to 30%. That is as per the terms and conditions. That is not much important. For most of the cases, for big projects and for corporate projects, enterprise projects, the client will ask you for future support, future maintenance and updates, or security fixes. In that case, the concerned company who is developing the project for that client, they will sit together and make some agreement for future updates and all those maintenance. Talking about next, we will see about uh, the next topic would be the all the methodologies that are applied in SDLC. All those methodologies, all those strategies and models that are being followed while working with SDLC. SDLC is a culture, it's a framework for following a process. As I said, there is no difference between making software and cooking, because all of these things they require to follow some procedure, some process. If there is no process, if there is no procedure, then you are just going to different directions each time. Sometime you will go here, sometime you will go there, but there is no actual process in no. When there is no actual process in no, then there is no sure success, there is no uh, sure result. You will get different results for different time. Again, you will let's say we are making a hotel booking project. So we don't know how to make that project, we just know PHP or Python or Java. In that case, we just took 4 to 5 months. We just took 4 to 5 months to work on that project, from um, coding, from searching internet and prior experiences. Let's say you are capable to develop that project within 5 6 months. But what if you are again asked for another project, let's say cab booking system or application, then you will have to rethink all those things, because your prior experience is not of any word, then that will not help you anymore. You again need to experience a new thing and do this in different way. So there should be some process, some working model. So every time you follow that model or process, you will be successful and you will get the desired result. For that thing, we follow the SDS, the System Development Life Cycle. So let's finish this today. Next we will discuss about SDLC methodologies and SDLC models and strategies that we follow to make projects. Okay. Thank you all. Okay, thank you for taking much longer time. Hope you all understood whatever I tried to express. If there is any misconception or any doubt, you can contact me or you can write to me on my where you are now watching this video. There should have some feedback of solution feedback options. Be it comment or email, whatever you like, you can reach me. Thank you.